Hi there, I'm Lara, one of the owners and designers here at Rivet Patterns, and today we are going to make our newest bag pattern called the Libretto Handbag Tote. Let me show you what it looks like. This is the bag we'll be making today. This is the tote size. It has deep pockets with snap closures, or you could do separated pockets by stitching. It's totally up to you and totally optional what you add and what you don't add to this fabulous pattern. I decided to do a deep tote bag so that I would have somewhere to put my laptop that doesn't look like a traditional laptop carrier. This works perfectly for my small laptop. But as you can see, we've got an adjustable strap and these really fun longer strap connectors. We have a slip pocket. You can put the slip pocket on the inside or the outside. We've got the zipper panels for our opening. Inside, I'll turn this inside out so that you can get a better look at it. All right, you can see here we've got a zipper pocket and another slip pocket. Now you could put a slip pocket on all sides of it, front, back of the outside, front, back of the inside. So that's a four total slip pockets. You can do that if you want. You don't have to put slip pockets in it at all. The thing I like about the slip pocket, in particular on the outside, is that it gives it some visual interest while also being very practical. So this is the tote, and this we're using canvas today and cotton in the lining as well. Let me show you the handbag. This is the handbag version. You can see it's smaller, it's shorter, very handbag looking. It has all the same options as the tote. I like the tote for visual interest. I like it to have the slip pocket on the outside, but for the handbag, I like it just as is. But you could still add a slip pocket. We have that piece for the handbag style. This is actually a flannel. It's a yarn dyed flannel. I love the way this turned out. It is so beautiful. Let me show you the ones that I've made in vinyl. This here was my very first tester tote size. This is vinyl, like a faux leather, and I used an old burlap coffee bean bag that I was able to upcycle. I love this bag. I carry it all the time. I love the look. I love the style. I love the coffee, the whole thing. But it did really well in vinyl. Let me show you a handbag. This is yet another upcycle of mine. I thrifted a giant tote bag, and this is the faux leather that it was made of, including the strap. So the only thing I had to add was the lining fabric and the zipper. Everything else I was able to upcycle and thrift. This is a great vinyl. It was super easy to sew. And it all came together really well. So, are you ready to get sewing? Let's do it.
All right, here we are getting ready to get started on our Libretto handbag and tote. This is the tote size. This is the handbag size. They both have adjustable straps, as you can see here. Let's take a look inside of these. Okay. So here is the handbag. We've got a long zipper so you can have access to all of the inside. I've got a slip pocket here, and I've got a zipper pocket for all my little goodies. You can put a zipper pocket on the inside or the outside. You can put the slip pocket on the inside or the outside, whether you're doing a tote or a handbag, totally your call. Let me turn it wrong side out here so you can see how the inside looks. This is how the inside looks. That's one side. Here's the other. And the tote bag is exactly the same, except deeper. As you can see, I used vinyl on the outer, as well as this is like a burlap bag that was for coffee beans that I upcycled. And then I have lining, which is like a nice, almost like a twill. It's really sharp. I think I got this at Surge Fabric. On the inside, you can see I've got a zipper pocket here, maybe. There's a zipper pocket. And there's also, with a snap closure, another big, deep slip pocket. Now, I use that. I put my computer inside of it. And I'm able to carry everything in this. It doesn't look like your typical laptop bag, but it does fit 13, 14-inch laptop in it without any real issues. I use it all the time for my laptop. So you can do whatever you want with this. As many slip pockets as you want, as many zipper pockets as you want, however you want to do it. So you can see in the In this tote size, I just did one deep slip pocket on each side and on the inside. For the handbag, I just did one slip pocket and I made it into two. So we talk about dividing it into as many pockets as you need. I can fit my phone in here with no problem, or any other little goodies. Okay, so for the handbag, I did not use vinyl. It is not canvas. This is a yarn dyed flannel with a quilting cotton lining. So I love the way it's just a beautiful plaid. And this is a really nice fabric. I think it looks really sharp. All right, so you can use cotton, you can use like flannel or a canvas, or anything like that. You can even use vinyl. And as you can see, I've used burlap here. So like the possibilities are really endless. So let's talk about what we're going to make today. Today, we are going to make the tote size. All right. For the slip pockets, I'm using this fabric. For the lining, I'm using a quilting cotton. This is a nice, durable quilting cotton for the lining. And for the outer, I'm using this canvas. All right. Now, let's talk about our pattern pieces. We've got outer and lining in our main front and back. We have two of each of those, front, back of lining, or outer, front, back of lining, plus I've got my interfacing on there. Then we've got our slip pockets. I'm doing 2 slip pockets, so I need four pieces. So you can do an outer and a lining, and this is like with this, I did just 2 of the accent fabric. So when I open it, I'll be able to see this fabric as well because it's just so beautiful. I also have interfacing on those. So I have 2 for each. I've also placed the markings for the snaps, because I'm going to be putting snaps on these slip pockets. I'm going to do one on the outside and one on the inside. Additionally, I'll be doing a zipper pocket. So I've got my zipper pocket lining and my zipper. For my snaps, I have some extra scraps of interfacing just to give me a little stability. All right, so I've got my zipper panels. I have 2 in the outer and 2 in a lining, and they're also interfaced. And I have my zipper. I have my fabric for my adjustable shoulder strap, or you can use webbing. I have my 2 strap connectors here, and I have my zipper tab. All right, last but certainly not least, we have our hardware. So I have 2 1.5-inch swivel clips. I have 2, I'm using O-rings. These are 1.5-inch, or you can use D-rings. That's what it calls for in the pattern, but I love the way these chunky O-rings look. And then our 1 adjustable buckle. I can't find any gunmetal, so I got to stick with the silver. And then if you're going to use a snap closure, you need as many sets of those as you have slip pockets, if you're using them on all your slip pockets. I am using them on all my slip pockets. And so I have 2 sets, a male and female, and then the backing for each of those, or washer, whatever you want to call it. Now, I think we're ready to get started. So let me move all my stuff to the side and we'll get moving. First things first, we're going to grab our strap connectors and we're going to grab our shoulder strap. Okay, and you're going to have the same method for both of these. I'm going to link a video in the description box below for an actual video for how to do straps and strap connectors. For now, I'm just going to fast forward through this so you can see me make it, and you can use the video below if you need extra help. All right, here we are. We've finished our shoulder strap and our strap connectors. We can set those to the side for later. Now it's time to work on the snap closure part. So I'm going to grab my snaps. I'm going to grab my pockets, my slip pockets, that is, and one of my outers and one of my linings, because I'm going to have a slip pocket in the outer and a slip pocket on the lining. So here's one. Here's another. Okay, whoops. Additionally, I'm going to grab my little scraps of interfacing. This is just going to help me stabilize where the snap is going. If you have not transferred the markings from the pattern pieces onto your fabric, now is the time to do it. I've done it. I've done it on the right side of both one outer, you can see my mark here, and the right side of a lining. One outer slip pocket, one inner slip pocket, okay? It's just one layer, all right? This would be like the lining, the inside of the slip pocket, okay? So I've got my marks here, and you can double check. Here, I'm going to show you how I double check. So I started with making these marks first, and then I made them on, from the pattern piece, and then I made them on the outer and the lining pieces, and somehow I screwed up the marks, and they were wrong. So let me show you how I double check. So I'm going to grab one slip pocket piece, and then I'm going to grab either the outer or the lining. This is the lining. And I'm going to place them on top of one another. I'm going to grab a pin, okay? And I'm going to line this up. Now this will be up about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, okay? So you just want to make sure that you're where you need to be there. And what I do is I take my pin and I just poke it through so it goes through both layers. Now I have this pressing mat so I can poke right into it and it stays. And then when I lift up, I can see if my mark is correct. If it's not, then I can either adjust this piece, or make a new marking, okay? I'm pretty darn close. So we've got some scraps here of our interfacing. We're going to place those over approximately where our markings are. You could do one, depends on the interfacing you have. This is decor bond, so it's pretty thick. I'm only going to use one of them. This just means if anything is pulling on that snap, the snap is going to be stabilized under the fabric. So we'll do that there. Let's start with our outer. We've got hopefully you can see it. The marking is right here. All right, I'm going to take one of my washers, all right? And the washer has a circle in the middle and 2 lines on the side. So we're going to use the circle in the middle and line that up here, just like this. Okay, now you could do this on the front side, on the main side, or you could do it on the back side, either way. And then you're going to take your pen and you're going to mark all 3 of those, just like that. So you have a circle in the middle and the lines on either end. Now grab a seam ripper. Be very careful. I'm going to grab this like this. I'm going to push my seam ripper through the bottom of the right line, the right-handed line, and then I'm going to bring it up through the top. And I'm not doing anything else. I'm not pushing it through, okay? You need to make sure it comes up out the top. Otherwise, you're going to rip your fabric all the way up, okay? And then you just push it through, and you've got a hole. Do that on the other side. So down, and then up, carefully. There you go. And then push it all the way through. All right, so there's that. All right, so we're going to take our male or our female piece and one washer, and we're going to place these prongs through the slits that we just made from the right side of the fabric to the wrong side. So it's going to look like that. Flip it over, and here's what we see. All right, now we're going to add our washer to it, and there's a perfect place for those prongs. Now, everyone has a different method that they like. You can lay them over on top of each other like this, or you can push them out like this, okay? You just want to really push them down, okay? You can use scissors, you can use something like that, okay? Now, if you want, you can even people will add duct tape here or another piece of interfacing that just kind of secures it so it doesn't come apart. I do find that when you put them out like this, they tend to stay a little better. All right, so there's one. And we could see that we're already on this side. And let's go ahead and set that to the side. And now we're going to do the same with our slip pocket lining. We're going to repeat that with the front back lining and the other slip pocket lining. All right, so here we have our finished snap installation, okay? And we are nice and snapped together on both of them. So let's grab those slip pocket pieces and move those outers or those front and back pieces to the side. Let's start with one, and we're going to need our other slip pocket pieces. So we're going to place 2 slip pocket pieces, lining and outer, whatever you chose, right side together. Okay. And we're going to clip at the top and at the bottom. We'll do that on both sets. Using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, we're going to stitch across the top, this curve, and across the bottom, okay, on both of these. Let's do it. Now what we want to do is we want to trim the seam allowance just a tiny bit. Now, the tutorial doesn't say to necessarily trim the seam allowance. This is just something that I have developed a habit. So it is not a requirement that you trim these seam allowance, but it sometimes is really helpful to reduce bulk. Another thing you might want to do is to snip into this seam allowance, this curve, just a tiny bit, because you want a really smooth seam allowance. I haven't had any issues with this as I've been making them. But if you want to, just in case, snip into that. So I'll snip into this one, and then I won't trim and snip the other one, and we'll see how they do. Now what we're going to do with each of these is we're going to turn them right side out. So you've got basically a tube here. So we're just going to turn it right side out. And it's a little bit easier on the tote because it's a bigger piece. It's a longer piece. So it might, be a little more, not difficult, but take a little more time on the handbag version. Okay, give it a press. Make sure you're pushing that seam allowance out. You want it pushed way out there as far as it'll go. And that's one slip pocket. That looks nice. Just give it a good look here. Make sure it looks the way I want it to. Okay, and we're going to repeat that with the other one. All right, now we're going to head to our sewing machine, and we are going to lengthen our stitch a little bit, and we're going to top stitch across the top and across the bottom about 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so here we are. We've got our top stitching done. I meant to say, if you have a label that you're going to add, you can add that prior to sewing these pieces together. And I'm going to do that real quick before I move on. So I've got my tag on. Now what I'm going to do, this is going to be for my outer. This one is going to be for my inner. So let's grab the outer. If you've done the snap, applying this is just as simple as snapping it and evening it out, and you're ready to go. If you haven't done the snap and you're compartmentalizing it or whatever, you're going to come up about 1/2 inch from the bottom here, and then clip it in place on the sides. But since I did a snap on both, I am good to go. So I'm about 1/2 inch, give or take, from the bottom. And so the snap just makes it kind of easy. So now I'm going to put a couple clips on either side here. And then we're going to head to our sewing machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to base this. We're going to sew. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew down the side, across the bottom. We're going to stitch in that ditch right here and back up the next side. We're going to do that with both pieces. All right, now we're going to set those to the side and we're going to work on our zipper pocket. You can see how cute these turned out. That's going to be really pretty. All right, now we're going to grab, I'm putting my zipper pocket on the lining. You could put it on the outer if you want, but I'm going to grab my lining here. And I need my zipper and my zipper pocket lining. All right. So this is done on the fold. So make sure you unfold it. All right, and we're going to go. There are markings on both the lining, the front and back pattern piece, and the zipper lining. So you can match those. Okay, I've got my rectangle here. I'm going to get a couple of pins so I can pin that to it. We are right sides together. So we're the lining right side together with the lining or the outer, whichever one you chose to do. So the right sides together. I'm going to head to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew around this rectangle. All right. I did not press record, so we don't have a recording of that, but it is a rectangle around here. All right, now we're going to open that up. So this is how I do it. I fold the whole thing in half, and then I'm going to cut a little slit down the center of this rectangle. Open it back up, and then cut all the way to about a 1/2 inch from the end of the rectangle, and then diagonal into the corners, as close as you can get to the stitch line without actually going through it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to push all of that to the other side, to the wrong side. All right, so you can see we've got a rectangle opening here. Let's turn it over to the right side. See what we see here. So we have a nice rectangle. Now this zipper is going to fit into that rectangle. Now you can use like quilting tape if you would like. I don't have any at the moment. So you can also use pins. So you bring a pin, line it all up perfectly, and then pin it if you like. Okay? It's up to you. I'm just going to go with it, and I'm not going to use anything. Let's see how we do. We're going to go to our sewing machine, and we're going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the edge there. Okay, here we are. There's our zipper. Now turn it over, and we're going to fold our lining piece, and we're going to match the short edges and match the long edges, and then we're going to sew all the way around this using 1/4 inch seam allowance, give or take, making sure to backstitch. Okay, set that to the side and be ready with that. The first thing we're going to do is we've got our zipper here. You want it opening to your right. All right, now we are going to open the end, the left side. We're going to start with the left side. We're going to open that up a little bit, okay? And we are, just as the written tutorial says, we're just going to bend that and fold that so it looks like this. You can clip it, you can pin it, or you can simply sew it and then move on to the next one. Okay, so you've got that. And then you're going to do the same with the other side. You want them to match as closely as you can. So it's about a 1/2 inch, maybe less. Okay. And then you can use your sewing machine, I think, on this part. I just find it just as easy to do it by hand. So I'm going to hold it like this, pinch it there, grab my needle and thread, and just do a couple of stitches there, just holding all those layers together to keep that folded out. Don't go in too far because you don't want it to show when you sew it onto your bag. All right, see, it's just as quick to do it by hand as it is to do it with a machine. So here's what we've got. So when it closes, it's going to stop right there. See how lovely that looks, okay? Now, scoot that to the side and grab your zipper tab. We're going to fold our zipper tab in half, wrong sides together, matching the short ends, okay? And then we're going to press it. Okay, now we're going to open it up. This is just like we did the strap connectors and the shoulder strap. Okay, there's one side. Fold those both to the center, to that center crease. Okay. Now you have two other short raw edges. We're going to fold that in half, wrong sides together. Okay, open that up, and you've got a crease. You're going to fold those raw edges towards that crease. Give them a good press. I even add some clips. Careful, it's super hot. To keep it, as it cools, to keep it pushed down. Now we're going to do the other side. Okay, let it cool for just a second. Now those are going to match like this. So you're going to fold those in on themselves. So you're fully encasing all those raw edges while also making a tab for your zipper, okay? And so then it's just like a little sandwich. You put that in there, just like that. Right in the center. And now what you want to do is you want to go to your sewing machine. You want to, at minimum, you want to stitch across this fold here, or you can do like a square or rectangle around it. It's totally up to you. Our zipper is fully prepped, and we are ready to move on to the next step. Let's set that to the side. Now we're going to grab our zipper panels. Okay, we have 4. We have 2 outer and 2 lining or accent in my case. And we are going to press each short edge, raw edge, to the wrong side 1/4 inch. Okay, now we need 1 outer and 1 lining. So I have 1 outer and 1 lining, and we need our zipper. We're going to take our outer, and we're going to place it right side up, just like this. And we're going to take our zipper, and we're going to place it right side down, about a 1/2 inch from this folded edge. So, okay, you can unzip it if that makes it easier, just like that. And you want about a 1/2 inch-ish, give or take. And we're going to clip that in place. Now that we've done that, we're going to take our lining or accent piece, and we're going to place it right side down. So we've made a sandwich. Okay, so it's right sides together with the outer. Okay, and then we're going to just replace those clips. And now what we're going to do is head over to our sewing machine, and using a zipper foot, we are going to sew these layers together. Okay, here we are. I'm going to go ahead and zip it up just to make it a little bit easier on myself to manage. Now I'm going to press it. So I'm going to push these, the outer and the lining, we're going to push them away from the zipper. So I'm going to start with the outer. And now the lining. So those are become wrong sides together. So I'm going to clip this just to keep these out of my way. All right. Now, let's turn it over and see what we've got. The most important thing is that they line up on the sides. So if you needed to adjust those folds, adjust them as you're sewing. It's fine. We'll come back in here and do some top stitching so you'll be able to tuck away anything that you don't really love. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'll do some trimming later. All right, now we're going to repeat that exact process with the other panels. So we have our outer right side up. Our zipper is going to be right side down. Okay, and we're going to line that up. So it's about a 1/2 inch, but you want to just line it up with what you just sewed. Okay, you want all those folded edges to line up. And then we'll give it a few clips. Now we're going to place our lining right side down, lining up those folded edges. You can even place a clip there if you want to make sure they don't move around. Good, let's line up perfectly. Now we're just going to repeat what we did previously, and we're going to use our zipper foot, and we are going to sew that on there. Okay, now we're going to press the outer panel away, and then we'll press the lining panel away from the zipper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head to my sewing machine. I'm going to lengthen my stitch just slightly, and I'm going to top stitch all the way around each of these rectangles, about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. All right, here we go, looking good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and we're going to fold it in half, and we're going to mark the center. You can either do it with a snip or a clip. Let's check that they are equal. All right, so we've got our center there. Okay, we're going to also grab our 2 outers. Let me set that to the side. We want to fold those in half, matching up those sides, what will be the side seams. Okay, and we're trying to find the center here. We'll see if you can see it, make sure you can see that. We're trying to find the center of the top curve. So we want to line it all off like this. You can clip it or pin it or snip it. So that's what you want, okay? Double check it, make sure it's correct. We're going to do that with both of the outers. And we are going to line these up like this. We're going to match those center marks all the way around. So you're going to have to manipulate the fabric, the outer fabric probably, so that it all lines up. Put as many clips as you need, just like that. Just like that. So it'll curl up a little bit, and that's okay. All right, here we go. And you can see how it looks here. Very nice. I forgot to say I'm basting this on. I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. When we put it together, we'll use our normal 1/2 inch. All right, now let's grab our other outer, and we're going to repeat what we just did on the other outer. All right, let's get to sewing. Again, this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. Here we are. Let's open this up so we can take a look. It looks fantastic. That's going to be great. So it's going to curve, right? Okay, that's going to be great. All right. Now, what we want to do is we want to place it to where our outers, front and back, are right sides together. Okay, and we're going to line up those side seams all the way up. Tuck tuck your zipper in so it's out of the way. You don't want to sew through it or accidentally clip it. So just see, push it out of the way. You can even like pin it, clip it. You just don't want it to get in the way of what you're trying to do. All right, that works. All right. We have that. Let's do the other side. And then we'll also clip the bottom. Now, using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, we're going to sew down one side, the other side, and the bottom. All right, now I'm going to trim down my seam allowances. And we're going to do the same thing with our lining. So we'll take our lining front and backs and we'll place them right sides together. And we're going to sew down using a 1/2 inch seam allowance down the sides. And we'll do across the bottom as well, except we want to keep about a 5 inch opening here to birth our bag when we're ready. Now, okay, now that we've done that, we could trim the seam allowance on our lining. We're going to set that to the side, and we're going to grab our outer again. Okay, let's make sure that our zipper is open. Well, yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier to maneuver if the zipper is open. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to open this up. Let's do this side. Just like this. And we have our side seam here. Okay, so we're going to take what our previously made strap connector and D-ring, or in this case O-ring, and we are going to place it, center it on that, in that space right there at that side seam, just like this, just like the picture shows. And then we're going to give it a couple of clips. And we're going to do that on both sides. There's one side. Here's the other. Just push your zipper out, down, and out of the way. And let's do the other side. And center it. Give it a couple clips. Now I'm going to go to my sewing machine, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to stitch this to that. I'm going to bag stitch a lot because I want to make sure that that has a lot of straights, since it's going to bear all the weight of the bag. Okay, we got our rings on here. Let's just tuck those out of the way. Now it's time to box our corners. This is super easy. Going to reach in. These are where our corners will be boxed. We're going to do this on both the outer and the lining. You're just going to reach in. You're going to pull it apart at those corners, and you're going to match up the bottom seam and the side seam. And you're going to give it a clip. Do that on the other side. Match up the bottom seam and the side seam. Give it another clip. All right, now we've boxed the corners of the outer. It's time to box the corners of the lining. So we're going to spread that apart and line up the bottom seam with the side seam and give it a clip. Same on the other side. All right, now we're going to head to our sewing machine, and using a 1/2-inch seam allowance, we're going to sew across all those box corners. Forgot to press record, so you don't get a recording of that. So I just stitched across here. We'll trim those seam allowances. Now we're going to take the outer and we're going to turn it right side out. This is a great time to check to make sure you caught everything and that your box corners look really good. It's so far so good. I'm loving the way this looks. This color combo is fantastic. Okay, we're going to leave our outer right side out and our inner wrong side out. So you want to make sure you have this to where you know where you want your pockets to go. Good grief. So I don't want a slip pocket, the inside slip pocket, to be against the outside slip pocket. It probably doesn't matter. So I'm flipping it around so that the inside slip pocket is on the side of the outer that doesn't have any pockets. That's just my personal preference. That's just how I'm doing it. All right, so let's get this kind of open, and we are going to place the outer inside the lining. All right, now that we've got this in here, you're going to make sure that your D-rings are to the inside and your zipper is pushed out of the way to the inside as well. Yeah, and so your zipper panels also push to the inside. Everything is pushed to the inside. So all you have are raw edges on the outside. I hope that makes sense. All right, so everything is pushed to the inside just like this. You have a raw edge here and you have a raw edge here. So the outer is the raw edge and the lining is the raw edge. So I'm going to start at one side and I'm going to line up the side seams. And I'm going to pin or clip in a couple of places. And then I'm going to pick a side and I'm just going to keep going all the way down. Again, make sure that your zipper tab or your zipper panels are pushed down. All right, now that I've got it all clipped all the way around, I'm going to head to my sewing machine and using a 1/2-inch seam allowance, I'm going to slowly and carefully sew both of these layers together. All right, here we are. Inspect your work, make sure everything looks good. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do some clipping of our seams or snipping of our seams. We want to clip the corners here. Okay, then we want to come in and you got this curve. And in order to make it smooth, we want to clip that curve. So we're going to snip right into the seam allowance without going through the stitching. Now, as you hit that zipper panel, it's going to become a little bit thicker. So take that into consideration. It may take a little bit more elbow grease to get through there. Now it's time to birth our bag. So we're going to reach in through this opening and we're going to pull the outer out. This is canvas and cotton, so it's pretty easy to birth, but if you're using vinyl or something like that, something heavier, it's going to take a little more time. All right, so before we close this opening, I'm going to push, get everything looking pulled out the way it needs to be, and this lining pushed back inside. I just want to check my work. That way I don't have to seam rip that opening if I turn this back wrong side out. Just want to make sure everything looks the way it's supposed to. Everything looks really great. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to get my iron. And I'm going to press around here, okay? So you could zip it at this point. Okay, and you can push your zipper inside and push it like this, because it's going to look like this when it's all done. But we're going to be top stitching, but we need to press all of this, okay? All right. So in order to do that, I'm going to push this down. Okay, pull that out. We'll get to the D-rings in a second, or the strap connectors. Now we want to pull out, smush it down, pull out our D-rings and get that seam press. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the zipper down, just like this. And I'm going to give it some clips here, because we're going to push the zipper panel down into the inside. If you can, if your sewing machine can't handle it, you can just keep it up like this and top stitch around. But I like the stability it gives when we push it down, and we are able to top stitch through all of those layers. And I like to give it a clip just so it obeys. All right, let's top stitch. All right, let's take one final look here. Get all these. There we go. Push those corners out. Oh, before we move on, we need to pull out, forgot to do this, pull out the lining, and we need to close that opening. So we're pushing those raw edges towards the inside, and you could clip or put it in place, and then you just want to stitch across that opening. All right, now push that in, push those corners out. You want them to be nice and boxy. Okay. Zip it up. Tuck this in. There we have it. And you could see now the way that stands out there. That's the way your zipper should look. And this is the way the front should look. This is the way the bottom should look. Now, we're simply going to add our adjustable strap. We're ready to go.
Well, we've done it. We made our very own Libretto tote bag. I'm super happy with this. I love this fabric. I thought about giving it away or trying to sell it, but oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful. I think I'm just going to have to keep it for myself. It is the perfect deep tote. It carries everything. And if you don't like something so deep, you can do the handbag version, and it's just perfect. The sizing of this bag is perfect, and this is not a difficult bag to make. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and you will join me next time for our next pattern. Bye.